All right. And with that, at noon, in the interest of time, why don't we get things going? Thanks for joining SCORE Maine today. I'm Jasper. I work in our office of SCORE's Maine in Portland. Welcome to our webinar hosted by Laura Robinson, founder and marketing consultant at Gainkite on marketing. Laura is an expert on the topic, and we're happy to have her present. If you didn't know, SCORE is a resource partner of the Small Business Association and helping clients at all stages of the business cycle for the entire life of their business. And we do want to thank our sponsor, the Maine Technology Institute, for making this webinar happen today. If you have any questions, feel free to cue them in the chat, or later on, we'll have a Q&A section. You can use the raise hand function found in the reaction window, and we'll invite you to speak if you're interested. Either way, Laura, why don't you take it away?
All right. Thank you, Jasper, and thank you for all for attending. We're going to be talking about marketing channels today, and as you know, there's lots of different ways to connect with ideal customers and clients and current customers and clients. And so I'm going to break down a little bit about how to use each channel, how to think about it, and really simplify what you're trying to do with your marketing so that you can create experiences that basically just guide your ideal customer towards success, because every single one of you is running a business that is solving a problem, and it might not be a deep problem like hunger or shelter or security, but everything that you offer is providing something of value for your customer. It's solving a problem. And so if you think of it that way and you think of your marketing as simply a way to connect your ideal customer that has a problem with you who has the solution, then you can kind of just think about, what do they need to take that next step? They might not be ready to purchase today, but what can I do with this interaction, whatever it might be, to help them move closer to the solution that they're looking for? So I'll just start with an introduction. I am currently a marketing consultant doing some freelance work, but I have 16 years of experience in marketing through lots of different industries and lots of different sized companies. And really what I've taken is kind of this all of this experience through the different industries and company sizes that I've worked with, to really distill down what is the most important things for you to think about as a small business with, frankly, limited resources. So when we talk about digital marketing channels today, this is what we're going to focus on. Your website is really the hub or the centerpiece of your online presence. And I will say, of course, now there are some businesses operating without an actual website. Maybe they're using their Facebook page as that main website. And if that works for you, certainly fine. All of these channels and everything that I say, I mean, you're all going to filter it through what you know to be true for your business and your audience. But the idea is to, apply some best practices to make your marketing more effective. So if you don't have a traditional website, that's okay. You can still get value out of how we think about a website so that you are positioning whatever main web presence you have in that same way. We'll talk about SEO and content. SEO is search engine optimization. So optimizing your website so that if someone is searching for the solution or product that you offer, they can find you more easily. And your content, the content that you create and put on your website, really should be serving those search terms. We'll talk about email marketing. I have a soft spot in my heart for email marketing. That's where I have the core of my marketing experience, because really everything that you do out there on social and web, you're creating content, you're sponsoring things, you're advertising. Really what you're trying to do is, capture enough information so that about a person, like their email address, so that you can guide them toward purchasing, because a lot of times they're not ready to purchase right away. So email marketing is a really powerful way to do that. Social media is so important now, and it can be intimidating, but we're going to kind of talk about ways to keep it simple and keep it from overrunning your whole life and making you feel like you constantly have to be on social platforms. And then online advertising. So you are reaching new ideal customers and they're, finding you, and you're able to make that connection. So, with everything that you do in marketing, I want you to think about what is my goal? What am I trying to achieve? And how do I know if it's working? Every single thing you do in marketing isn't always about the purchase or whatever your business model is, the contract or the subscription. Because when you reach someone in these various channels and with various touch points, they're not always ready to buy. Even if they're your ideal target customer and they're perfect for what you're offering and they need what you're offering, they might not be ready. They might not have the money, or they might not be at the point that they're ready to convert. So, what is your goal for each of these touch points, and how do you know if it's working? Sometimes your goal might just be video views or website traffic or email subscriptions, or reach, just to reach more people and get brand recognition. So try to identify with everything that you're doing, what is your goal and how will I know that it's working? And the beautiful thing about digital is that everything can be tracked now. So you can see how many people looked at your webpage or see how many people clicked on your ad. So try to define, how do you know if it's working? Because then you know what to deprioritize and what to prioritize, because you can do a lot of things. But if you realize that a certain type of content actually doesn't have a goal, or you think you need to send out a weekly email, but you're not really sure why you're sending it other than someone told you to send a weekly email, if you don't know what your goal is, pause and think about your audience and what do they need from you to be able to be successful, to connect with the solution that you're offering. So we'll start with website, and you'll see a very simplistic website toward the right, but there's some important things here I want you to take note of. You are trying to simply guide your ideal customers, your web visitors, toward working with you. If there's a match, if they need what you're offering, you want to simply guide them toward that. So you want to eliminate decision fatigue and make it very clear what they should do next. You'll see these orange get started buttons here. Have a very clear next step for them to take if they're ready. And you can have, so this would be like a primary call to action. You can have secondary calls to action of learn more, or, get to know us, or subscribe to our email list. But you want to have a very clear primary call to action so that if your ideal customer lands on your website, when they're ready to buy or purchase or whatever it might be, they know what to do next. You're telling them, okay, you're here, you're in the right place, this is what you need, do this next. And you want to be very clear about that, because it's no one's job to figure out how your website is designed or where they need to click. It's your job to tell them this is what you do next. If your ideal customer lands on your website and they're not ready to buy, then what? What should they do? How can they still stay engaged with you? And maybe that's signing up for your email list. Maybe that's watching an informational video. How can they stay engaged with your brand so they don't leave your website and forget that you exist? If your website is the first interaction that someone has with your company or your brand, do they know what you do? Do they know that they're in the right place and that they can self-identify as your ideal customer? The language that you're using should really let them know if they're in the right place or not. And they might not be. You're going to get a lot of people on your website that are not your ideal customer, and that's okay. But for those ideal customers, they should be able to self-identify very quickly if they're in the right place, because you're going to tell them, this is what we do, this is who we serve, and here's some proof. So one thing that some of you may be familiar with is that, with websites, we talk about above the fold, meaning when someone opens up your website on their browser, whether that's their desktop or their phone, what do they see before they have to scroll? And you want to make sure that there's a very clear statement of what you do, who you help, and a very clear next step above the fold. And then as they scroll, which if they're, they feel like they're in the right place and they're interested, they'll scroll down potentially. Then you can offer more details and more information, or you can feature your top products. You can provide quotes and testimonials to build that social trust. You're going to repeat your call to action, make sure that they don't have to scroll to the top just to take action. Like, make sure that there's you're kind of guiding them as they're discovering more about your company and what you do. They're able to quickly take action wherever they are on your website. And you can offer resources or other content. We'll talk about other types of content here. But this is kind of that prototype of what you want. You want to have clear branding, simple layout. You don't need to have a lot of columns or lots of different. You don't need 10 things in your top navigation if that doesn't make sense. Having just a handful of things in your top navigation, one very clear main call to action, and allowing them to scroll and see more information and kind of see how your solution is working for other people. That's pretty powerful. You can keep it simple. Simple also is great for mobile. Make sure that your website is optimized for mobile. That's so important. And most web providers now or platforms, they will allow you to preview a page in desktop mode and mobile before you hit publish, so you can make any tweaks and adjustments that you need to make so that the mobile experience is also just as conducive to someone converting as the desktop. For calls to action, and what I mean again, because I know some of you might be hearing this term for the first time, this orange get started here, this main call to action. You can use lots of different language as long as it's pretty simple. You want to keep it short, just a couple of words. Here I'm providing a lot of different examples of what that main call to action could be, and it all depends on your business and how you interact with your clients. You want to stay away from saying, if you're interested, you can call us, or you can text us, or you can fill out a form, or you can come by our store. It's too many options. You are the authority on how to work with you and your solution. You need to be very clear in guiding the experience. If you'd like to work with us, click here. Or, here's what you need to do next to access this, or buy now, or shop this product category. You could be very direct because that's what people want. They're just scanning. They're not reading all the words. So be very clear and distinct with what they should do next. Should they contact you? Should they request a demo? Should they, order today? Whatever call to action makes sense. And again, many people will not be ready to buy, and that's okay. They can click on your about page. They can go through your website if they feel like it. But for the people who are ready, you want to be very clear. This is what you do next. And it's not because you don't want them to look around on your website. It's because you just want to be very clear. Like, you have a problem, I have the solution. This is the step that you need to take in order to connect. And if you keep that mindset, it helps you to stay really focused on what you need to do, what you need to say, so that the people visiting your website can connect with your solution easily. You'll have supporting content. You also want to capture email addresses where possible. We'll talk more about that too, but keep it really simple. That'll help you, and it'll help your customers. You do not need to have 40 different web pages on your website. You don't need that. You can have a simple website that's really powerful and optimized, and that speaks exactly to your ideal customers so that they can be successful and connect with you. So speaking of optimization, SEO, search engine optimization, and content that you're going to put on your website, you really want to, again, keep it simple. There are tools that you can use for free. Google Keyword Planner, SEMrush is another tool that I've used. They do have a paid model, but they allow you to do some keyword research for free before they make you pay. But there are a lot of different tools you can use to find out basically what is my ideal customer searching for. When they go to Google and they need what I'm offering, whatever that might be, what do they type in? You want to find that out, so that once you know the key phrases and terms that people are searching, you can optimize your website for those search terms. And you don't need to optimize for 25 search terms. You can optimize for a handful. Basically, what are people searching for when they're searching for me? When my ideal customer is looking for exactly what I offer, what do they type in there? And it might take you some trial and error, but there's a lot of tools, again, where you can kind of see, how are people phrasing things? Are they asking questions? Are they using kind of, longer term search terms, or are they just searching for one or two words? These resources will allow you to research all of that and identify how you should create content on your website so that you are optimized for search. And realistically, you may not end up on the first page of Google search. Really, it's kind of hard to get on the first page of search results, and that's okay. But I think the more important is that if you are using the language on your website that your customers are using when they're looking for you, then again, that allows them to self-identify as, oh, I'm in the right place. This is what I need. And even if you're on page 2 or 3 of the search results for Google, if your website is optimized to answer the questions that your audience has, or use the terms that they're using in search, it's really going to create that connection where they're going to be able to say, yeah, this is what I need. I'm in the right place. This company gets me, or they're offering what I need. Types of content. So when I say, okay, you optimize your content for, your keywords that you've identified, what does that look like? You can have individual landing pages that are dedicated to just one single search term or one product category, or if you have kind of a few different main audience groups that you serve, you can have one landing page dedicated to each of those groups. But basically, you're creating, one experience where they can move down the funnel toward conversion, on that landing page. And they can still, again, navigate around, but you can have kind of a keyword that has a pillar page for that keyword where it's just really optimized for that search term, and providing a lot of information. You might have a video on there. You might have some case studies specific to that product or that offering, or you might have some quotes or feature some customers that have had success with that product. But you can have pillar pages, one single landing page that is really a deep dive into one topic or one search term. And you can have blogs, obviously. Blogs are great for maybe some less prominent search terms. Like if you have a few different search terms that have the most traffic volume, but you have some, less, some kind of secondary search terms that you still want to create content for, but they don't have as much traffic volume. They're related to what you do or what you offer. Blogs are a great way to kind of touch on those other search terms. You can have case studies. You can have industry perspectives or commentary. You can kind of position yourself on your website as an authority. Have a perspective on your industry, or where your industry is going, or this is what we do differently. Most people do something different. This is what we do differently and why, and really distinguish yourself as a leader, a thought leader in your industry or in your space. And then gated content. So if you have some research, or if you have a really deep discount code that's, you don't want to just hand out to anyone, you want to exchange email addresses for, like, you could have gated content on your website that allows you to capture the email address of those people that are most interested in what you're offering. And again, they're not likely going to be ready to buy the first time they visit your website, but they might be intrigued enough to exchange their email address for access to something exclusive. And I'll give you some examples too. You could have, for gated content, you can have a free trial, a free demo. You can have a coupon code, obviously, or free shipping, or free gift with purchase if they give their email address, because again, they may abandon their cart. But if you have their email address, it's a way for you to continue to engage with them in a way that you can control more. Industry insights, exclusive email content, like if there's something that you're only going to share over email, they may be compelled to exchange their email address for that. Infographic, a template, a framework that they can use, or an on-demand course or a tutorial or video. It could be one single video, really, where you're answering, the most common question, but, with a spin. You're offering some insight that only you have or the way that you do things differently, you can gate that behind a form and collect email addresses for people to access that. So get creative with how you can gate certain content and build your email list. And speaking of email, actually, you know what? I'm going to pause right here. I've been talking for 20 minutes. So Jasper, are there any questions or do you want to say anything at this point before I continue on?
No questions yet, but if anyone
Okay.
does, feel free to queue them up right now. I think it is a good point to maybe field some if anyone has some. Otherwise, I know that a salt intention is a very important part of it and something that we've been working on with some of our internal website stuff as well. So
Yeah,
it's great information to have.
yeah.
And email marketing, we here at Score, like just a little, I guess, product placement here. We like to use the constant contact as it's a fairly affordable and easy way to get your email blast out there and keep track of people's who is paying attention to you basically.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm glad you mentioned that because within each of these marketing channels, there's always the question of like, well, which one do I use? Which web provider or email provider or whatever it might be. Some people are going to have very strong feelings about, never use this one or this one's the best or whatever. Most of the core functionality for anything is going to be available on most of the more popular options. So if you have Constant Contact or MailChimp, you can do really powerful things with that just as much as if you have some larger enterprise solution. So whatever tools you're already using, you can step up from there. And if you find that there's key capabilities that are missing, you can always upgrade. But whatever you have in place right now is enough to get started and to connect better with your audience. So I guess I'll
Absolutely.
keep going. And again, like there's a small enough audience here. If someone needs to raise their hand or come off mute, that's certainly fine. We can have this be
Yeah.
interactive. It's not like there are
Yeah, you
400
guys feel free to
here,
keep that in
so
mind. Queue it up. I could if you put a question in the chat, I can always butt in and field it for them.
awesome. Okay.
All right.
So the rule of seven, marketers, which maybe there's no other marketers in this meeting, and that's okay. Marketers know that for a long time, there's been this thing called the rule of seven, where you need to interact with a potential customer 7 times before they're ready to convert on average. But now in the digital age, when we are all so exposed to so much content and so many ads on so many different screens and places in our lives, a lot of people think that number is now over 10 touch points in order to be able to move someone toward the point of making a purchase or converting. And so the reason that email marketing is so important because all of the other channels that you're using are getting you that reach. You're reaching new potential customers. And of course, you have current customers who follow you on social and current customers who visit your website. But in general, what you're trying to do is make sure that wherever your ideal customers are, that you're there too, and you're finding them and they're finding you. But at a certain point, you want to kind of be able to capture their information so that you can really engage with them and build trust and build brand recognition so that you can achieve those 7 to 10 touch points and your most ideal customers can make a purchase or start working with you in whatever way that your business is structured. So if you rely, and this is just kind of a table to give you a perspective here that all of these different channels need to work together. So if you rely only on organic social to achieve those 7 to 10 touch points, you need to know the algorithm of whatever channel you're using or whatever social platform you're using. You need to know that algorithm inside and out. You need to know exactly what Instagram is serving up most right now. Are they serving up long form videos, or are they prioritizing hashtags, or how are they connecting their users with content? You need to know that algorithm inside and out and post a lot of content in order to achieve 7 to 10 touch points with someone on social. And it's just not that realistic. When you think about paid ads or sponsorship, or even if you're doing radio promotion, any kind of paid sponsorship or ads, you have to have a large and consistent ad budget in order to reach someone, one individual person, 7 to 10 times if you're just doing paid ads. Again, not realistic for most businesses. Content creation, say you're just going to go, okay, I'm going to build out my website and put everything on my website. I'm going to publish blogs. I mean, you have to be a master of SEO in order for one person to have 7 to 10 touch points with you just using your, web content. So I think you get the point here that email marketing really is that connective piece between your reach, finding those people that could potentially work with you, and then nurturing them and building trust and brand recognition so that they do start, they have enough trust in your brand to start working with you or make a purchase.
I think that's a good point to take one of the questions that just was queued up in the chat from Elizabeth Batts. Elizabeth is very interested in strategies to grow their social media as they are an in-person service business. How would you think email marketing would help for their service?
Okay. So in-person service. So, I mean, sorry, sorry, did you just come off mute? I want to give you a chance to
Oh,
chat if you're,
uh,
oh
let's
no, that's someone
see.
else.
Elizabeth, if
Okay.
you would like to, you can feel free to come off of mute and field your question a little more. Otherwise, if you have some thoughts on it.
Okay. So email marketing can really help to build trust and kind of provide some supporting information. So if you are capturing email addresses, say, you're an in-person service provider, and someone's not quite ready to work with you, but they kind of want to know, they want to follow you, and they give you their email address and they want to, keep abreast of what you're doing. You can provide individual case studies. You can say, this is how, this customer I worked with last month went from A to B, and you can deliver that in email. Oh, I saw your comment, Elizabeth. Okay, you got a lot going on right now. Um, uh,
That's some dedication right
I
there. I
know.
don't think I've seen that.
And actually, one thing
Respect.
I want to emphasize is that whatever content you create, get the most miles out of it as you can. So if you create a blog post with like, oh, I'm featuring a customer I worked with who, this was the ideal scenario and I solved the problem for them. You can create a blog post. You can then take that and format it for email and send it out to your email subscribers. And then you can share that you have a new blog post on social, and you can take quotes or snippets out of your blog post and put it on social for more content. So get as many miles as you can from the content that you are already creating. But yeah, just share, like, think about like, what does my ideal customer need from me in order to like commit and work with me. And a really great way to do that is like, look at your reviews, look at the feedback that you're getting, look at the reviews from your competitors potentially. Is the language that they're using? Like, if you see reviews or feedback that, and there's a couple common threads that you realize people really just needed to know something, or they really needed to meet me face to face to feel comfortable working with me, or they needed to know that that I understand them in this specific way. Look at what access you already have to what they're thinking and what's working already. Answer those objections in email and on social. So if you find as an in-person service provider that most people need to meet you first, prioritize video content. You can put the video in an email, I mean, like the thumbnail, and link out to wherever the video lives, whether that's a landing page or YouTube. But make sure people can see your face and that they're building trust that way, or whatever it might be, whatever you're doing that it has a lot of success. Like, highlight that in email, highlight that on social, and just overcome people's objections. And that's where getting to know your audience in a really intimate way is so beneficial in all areas of your business, because then you're creating services that they specifically want. You're creating marketing communications that speak to them and the issues they might be having, or the hurdles that might be preventing them from working with you. So email is a great way to just kind of drip consistently on them, and say, hey, this is how someone like you has worked with me and had success. Or hey, I just reached a milestone in my business and I want to celebrate. Here's a coupon code or whatever it might be. And feel free to reach out to me one-on-one later over email and we can kind of get into the details. But yeah, I mean, every email doesn't have to be like a great foundational piece of content. It can just be a touch point that's building a little
Mm,
bit of trust. So, and feel free to get creative
absolutely.
with it.
Yeah, I think that touches on too another question that popped up in the chat from Nathan Gardner about reaching out to businesses for placing their own product. Nathan says that he doesn't like cold calling and feels like cold emailing is kind of on the same page for getting his product into stores.
Okay. I would do both. I mean, I hate cold calling too and cold emailing, but I would say take the time to make it worth your effort. So if you are, if you have a handful of retailers that you really want to get your products in front of, like make sure you've been to that retailer or at least you kind of are familiar with what they offer and who they're serving and position your product as something that would help them serve their customers better or attract more customers or fill a gap. So I would say with cold outreach, you can template things. You can use templated emails for cold outreach, but you do want to have a personal touch point in there where you're creating, they know that you actually wrote the email for them. So you say, I stopped by your store last week and I love it. The vibe is great. You have a lot of products in this category. I offer something a little bit different and I think it would be perfect for your customers. And then if you follow up a couple days later with a phone call, hey, I sent you an email on Tuesday. I'm just following up. And if you position, but yeah, cold outreach is it's terrible. I don't know,
Mm.
it's just a little bit painful. But if you take the time to personalize where you can have templated, you share these three stats or these three bullet points with all of your, cold outreach, and that's fine. You don't have to reinvent the wheel every time, but make sure that you are speaking to your recipient so that they know that you actually did your research.
Great. There's a few more, but why don't we get a little further in the presentation and we'll
Okay.
circle back to some of the questions later.
Okay,
Thanks everyone
perfect.
for some great questions so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, okay. Don't let this overwhelm you. I think I need to reconfigure this slide just so it's less visually overwhelming. But when we think about email marketing, what does that comprehensively look like? This is how I like to think of it. And I like to look at those larger segments of my audience. I have those leads, those people who have never worked with me. I just have their email address and that's it. I have my customers, people who have purchased once or more than once. And then I have those most loyal customers. So for your leads, they're coming in with very little information or knowledge about you. And so they're exchanging their email address for some reason. You've provided enough value or interest that they want to receive your emails. They may just want to receive one email if you're offering a coupon code, but it's an opportunity. So you've offered something that they're intrigued enough they want to give their email address in exchange for it. And then you want to nurture them. And what that looks like for your business is different for everyone, but you're trying to build trust and brand recognition. They're not going to read every email. So that's okay. It's just a fact. They're not going to read every email, but if you're consistently showing up in their inbox with the same from name so that they're seeing your business name or your how whatever name you're using in these professional communications, they're seeing that name over and over again. Those are touch points. They're building brand recognition. They remember that you exist. If you're strategic with your subject lines and your content, they might be intrigued every 2 or 3 emails to open one of them. But you're basically highlighting how working with you is solving that problem that they have. And sometimes, like I've talked to photographers, for example, they're like, I do family photos. I'm not solving a problem. Well, you are, because when someone has little kids, and I have a 9 and 11-year-old, like I want those moments captured. And so if, you've got a 3-year-old and you've never had family photos done with your youngest kid, there's a need. I want to capture our family as it is now. I want to capture photos of my 3-year-old. There's always a need that you're solving for, even if it isn't, again, like life-saving need. So think about, what do you offer? What are you solving for? Email is a great way to connect those potential customers with the solution that you're offering with consistent touch points. This initial lead nurture, they might be coming in, they might be giving you their email address and only having heard of your brand once or twice. These first few emails, you don't want to wait a couple weeks in between touch points. You want to send an email right away, follow up maybe the next day or 2 days later. Those first few touch points, it's okay if they're kind of close in succession. Again, keep an eye on like what is the tone. You don't want to be annoying, but they're not going to remember that you exist in 2 weeks. Have a couple touch points right up close, offer value, use subject lines that are creating curiosity or maybe a little bit of urgency, or showing them that if you open this email, you're going to, find out how I did this for that client that you're also searching for. So that initial lead nurture, feel free to have touch points that are just a couple days apart. And if they don't convert, make sure there is a direct ask toward the end of this lead nurture kind of series. There's a direct ask, work with me, purchase today, etc. And if they don't convert, that's okay. You can kind of continue to drip on them as you have, like if you publish a blog post once a month, share with your leads that new blog post. Or if you have a new product, make sure that they know that. Be really strategic with what you're doing, but not everyone is going to be able to convert right away. Some of them may eventually do that. After they convert and become a customer, your goal is to make sure that it's not just a one-time purchase. You really want to welcome them. This new customer onboarding or new customer welcome series, you want it to be like a big deal, like you made the right choice. You're here and we're so happy, and here's how to be successful. So if you bought a new product, here's a quick 30-second video tutorial while it's shipping that you can watch to kind of build anticipation and make sure that you know how to use it. Or share how other customers are successful with you, but kind of create an experience that's welcome. We're so glad you're here. Here's how to make the most of working with me, or the most of the new product that's on the way. And then throughout time, again, if you have new products, you want to share that with customers. If you want to get feedback, if you want to find out, why they're not purchasing again, if you have people who are purchasing just once and never coming back, you can ask them, or try new things to make sure that you're holding on to those customers once they convert. Because a 5% increase in customer retention in various different studies has increased profitability anywhere from 25% to 95%. So if you can hold on to the people who have already converted, that's a really easy way to increase profitability. But you need to know who these people are. You need to connect with this audience so you understand how they work with you, how they use your product. Is it something that they need monthly? Is it something they need yearly? Is it, you need to understand who they are and how they do interact with you, and when and why they purchase, so that you can create experiences that make that happen more often. And there's no shortcut for that. It's really, talking to your customers, listening to their feedback, reading reviews, really make sure you understand your audience better than anyone else. And then once you have those loyal customers, again, reward loyalty. Make sure that they know that they're in the right place. You appreciate them. Maybe they have exclusive, sale opportunities, or there's a customer advisory board that you form, and you pull in your most valuable customers to be a part of that. Whatever looks right for your business, make sure that your most loyal customers feel good about being aligned with your brand, so that they're out there, telling their friends about it or referring people to you. Make sure that there's a really good feeling where they're getting something out of this too, not just the product that you're providing, but they're kind of able to align themselves with your brand in a way that makes them feel proud. So email marketing can empower a lot of that. And it's going to be your primary way of communicating with your audience, because again, social algorithms can change at any time. They might be serving up long form content now, and then they might be trying something new next week, and your content's getting buried, and your followers aren't seeing it anymore. So email is a really good way to, if you're strategic about it and you don't frankly piss people off with too many emails, it's a good way to stay connected with your audience. Okay, social media. Um, you don't have to be on every social platform. And in fact, as small businesses, I wouldn't advise that you try to do that. Find out where your audience is, your ideal customers, and just be there. Pick one or two platforms that you know that you have a significant portion of your target audience base uses that platform. Obviously Facebook isn't kind of the easy button, everyone's on Facebook, but you don't have to be on Facebook if that feels overwhelming or it doesn't feel authentic to your brand. A lot of people are also on TikTok, and a lot of people are also on Instagram, and a lot of people are on LinkedIn. So find out where your audience is and where you authentically want to participate. And just pick one or two platforms, because the key to success is both consistency and really knowing that platform and how it works. So you need to understand how that platform picks what content to serve up. They will not serve up your content to all of your followers. So how do they make those decisions? What is the algorithm favoring at any given time? I would suggest following some platform experts. There's lots of people that build their careers on helping people, make the most of Instagram, make the most of TikTok. Follow some of those people so that you're in touch with how those algorithms are changing. And it's a lot, but that's why I suggest just using one or two platforms and get to know that platform so that you're able to see when things change. If you can benchmark, if you can kind of track what your average performance is for organic social content, all of a sudden it takes a nosedive, then something happened. Either you created some funky content that no one wanted to look at, or probably there's something changing in the algorithm and it's your opportunity to, kind of brush up on what's new. But again, pick one or two platforms. Identify content pillars. What this means is very similar to what I said in your website content. Whatever, your website content is going to be optimized for just a few key search terms or topics. Social should be the same, and social should probably also be very similar in content pillars and topics that you're talking about. Just pick a handful of things that you're going to talk about, and keep it simple. If you know that you are, once a week you like to share a relevant quote that is really tends to be inspiring for your target audience, and once a week you want to feature a new customer and congratulate them, and once a week you want to post a short, quick video of your store or whatever it might be. Just pick a few things that feel right and that feel doable and post consistently. And even if you're just posting once a week, post consistently. Know what kind of content you're going to create so that you don't have to do this thinking every time of what am I going to do? What should I talk about? Just make it really digestible for yourself. You can always scale up, but don't go crazy and think that you're going to post every single day. You have a business to run. So I really suggest batching content. Probably most of you don't have a full-time social media person working for you. It might just be you or you and a small team. So batch content. Create whatever kind of content you're creating. Try to do all month worth of content in a single day if you can, or at least a few weeks, so that you're not having to be in content creation mode all the time. And again, I'm going to emphasize, whatever content you're creating, get as much use out of it as you can. Pick a topic, a search term, create a blog post about it, maybe create like a quick video, post the blog with the video on your website, take that video, post it to social, take that blog content, pick out a few key points or quotes and put that on social. Really make your life easier by just kind of batching content, getting the most miles out of your content as you can. And then you do have to interact with your audience. You can't just, what do they call it, like post and ghost? That's not going to work. You should be answering questions, commenting, liking people's content, reposting. If people are posting about your company, that's great. Repost their stuff so that they want to do it more. If they see that, oh, I posted about your product, and then you posted, reshared your, my story on your stories, like, interact with your audience, be available, not every day, not all day, but be consistently posting and consistently interacting. And, it is a lot, but it is doable if you can kind of be strategic about it. And then, I think I've touched on most of this already. One thing I want to touch on is you don't own your social following. Even if you have prioritized your Instagram account for 3 years and you have, 12,000 followers, you don't own that list. You can't take that list and send them an email. And again, the algorithm, may not serve up your content to most of your followers. So just be mindful that you can't put all your eggs in one basket. You really do have to use multiple channels, and please remember that email marketing piece. If you can, take people who have never met you before and turn them into followers, it's fantastic. If you can take followers and turn them into email subscribers, it's so good. And then you can use, both your social platform and your email tool to convert them and hopefully get a sale and then continue to build trust in a relationship with them. But you don't own your social following, and it's not a business resource that you can bank on. Social media is uniquely giving you the opportunity to bring your brand to life, so you can make it more personal, more fun. Just be clear about what your brand is and what your brand represents, so that you're kind of staying inside of some kind of guiding brand principles there. Stick to consistent topics, but diversify your content. You can talk about the same topic in lots of different ways. You can create a video about it. You can create a reel, which I know is also a video, but you can create, just post images, etc. You can kind of take one topic and talk about it in lots of different ways and see what's working. Just like your website, look at your social media and ask, if your ideal customer saw your content on social, would they immediately be able to take the next right step, or would they know that they're in the right place, or that you're a brand that they should be following or interacting with? And is your content worth following? Is your content interesting or valuable, or something that they would want to come back more for? And it's hard. But if you're thinking in that way, it's going to help you make decisions that are at least pointing in the right direction. Every piece of content that you have isn't going to be successful, and you're probably never going to go viral, and that's okay. You can still be successful on social. Here are a few main companies that I highlighted, and I have I guess notes here and there, but I put this here just so we can all take a look and what does this Instagram account say about this company? I know I've worked for a company before. It seems like they're doing a very similar thing, where they're posting a lot of content about what their employees are doing, their employee community engagement. Like, we have employees volunteering here, and they participated in a 5K to raise money for this and that, which is all great. But none of the content is really speaking to what that company does and offers, and how they're providing value for the customers. So think about that. If you look at your Instagram or whatever platform you're using, and it's not really connecting the dots between your ideal customer's need and what you offer, just try to, think about, what content can I provide that will make that connection for them. One thing I really like about what Timber HP does, and full disclosure, they're my client, so I did feature them here, is they're using these highlighted stories in a really smart way, so that in addition to the grid, there's also things you can interact with here about, this is a product line, in the news, tips and tricks. So you can interact with them in a lot of different ways, which is nice. This shoe company out of Lewiston, Maine, is doing something similar, but you'll see there's a gift guide 2022 top featured. That makes me feel like maybe they are not active on social. Maybe I don't want to follow them if they're not really going to be posting very often. These are just thoughts, but if you can take an objective look at your business and your social presence, just try to be objective. Just ask your questions. If I was my ideal customer, is there something appealing here? Would I want to follow, or would I want to click through to the link in bio? So just try to be objective. Put yourself in the shoes of your audience. And then advertising. This is where you're really gonna get the reach. You're gonna reach new people who don't know about you already, and you're gonna use all the things that we've talked about before. Oh, I see your comment, Anna. Rancourt was just featured in this new book that I read, which is why I follow them, about manufacturing in America. So I wonder if that's where all their followers came from. That's where I started following them from. So it's a new book that came out earlier this year. Maybe that's it. Um, Advertise where you have a presence, just like you're gonna post on social where your audience is, where you're posting, then prioritize your ads there. And I'll give you an example. There's nothing that I hate more than seeing an ad, like a Facebook ad for a company, and I think, oh, okay, this is intriguing. I want to check out their page. I click on their name, and then I get to a page that says, this business doesn't have a Facebook page. Because some of you may know, through the Facebook ads portal, you can put ads both on Facebook and on Instagram. But if you don't have a presence on both Facebook and Instagram, then I always kind of, I don't like that experience where now what? What do I do? I'm sorry, am I supposed to search you on Google? How am I supposed to find you if you show me an ad on Facebook but you're not on Facebook, or Instagram and you're not on Instagram? So wherever you've been dedicating your efforts to fill out that marketing channel, whether that's your website or a social platform, advertise there, because that's where your effort is already going, and that's where you're putting your best foot forward. So if you have put a ton of effort into your website, run Google ads to show up higher in search results. Or again, if you're on TikTok, like run ads there. Why not? That's where you're posting content, so that even if they don't want to click on your ad because they don't want to purchase yet, they can go to your profile and see a ton of content that's, fresh and relevant. Always know why what you're supposed to be doing. Like, what is the ad for? What is the goal? It might not be purchases, and that's okay. But define your goal. I'm trying to get video views. I'm trying to get web visitors. I'm trying to get click-throughs. Define what your goal is so that you know if it's working or not. And that goes for everything that you do. If you don't know if it's working or not, because you don't really know what the purpose of it is not worth your time. And then optimize. Test just one thing at a time, please, but test your CTA, your call to action. Does learn more work better than, click here or whatever? And I know those are kind of boring CTA examples, but you get the point. Test your CTAs, test the images, test ad formats. Does video work better than an image? Test your audiences. Like, you'll create, on every platform, there's different ways to find your audience. You might be looking at their search behavior or their attributes or their interests. Test different criteria to see how you can, more closely connect with the people that are interacting with your content. So, always optimize and try to kind of like make, ads are not free. So make the most of your budget. Start off small, optimize, and move on from there. And here's a sample ad sequence, just because I did want to bring some of this to life. But what you could do, because blasting out an ad of your newest product might not work. It may work, but if you are going after an audience that you don't have a lot of brand recognition in, they just don't know you exist, and that's okay. You can create a video ad. And the metric, and I'm kind of speaking in terms of Facebook ads because it's something I'm familiar with, but you can optimize for video views. So the platform will optimize showing your video to people who are more likely to watch it. So you can have a video ad optimized for video views and targeting a broad audience so that you're just kind of making that broad reach. And then there's an option for them to click through to your website, but you know that you're optimizing for video views. There may be a lot of people that are just watching the video, and that's okay. Your goal is video views. And then you can come back with a second ad that retargets, meaning you're reaching those people again. It may, be a free resource that you have, a free download or a coupon code optimized for conversions or clicks that retargets the people who watched or interacted with your first ad. Okay, so you can see how you're starting broad, and then you serve up another ad that only reaches the people who interacted with your video, and you're offering something a little more valuable, hoping to get them to click through and give you their email address. That's the goal, is to get an email address in exchange for a free resource. But some people may do a different action. They may decide to follow you instead of giving you their email, or they may decide to go to your website. But what the goal is to get form submissions where they give you their email in a form, and then you have their email address, and then you send them whatever resource you promise them. And then, after they give you their email, for that free resource, you can serve up a landing page saying, thanks for subscribing. As a special thank you, here's a great offer on one of your paid products. Again, most people won't buy at that time, but they've now interacted with your brand 3 times. There's a real good chance some of them might be ready to buy, especially for a good discount or an extra free gift or whatever it might be. And then you have their email address so you can send them, kind of enter them into a nurture series where if they didn't purchase from that landing page, you can continue to build trust with them, give them that offer again. Hey, just a reminder, this is a really good discount for new subscribers or whatever. So you can see how you start broad and you can kind of move down. And if you think of this, like, what does my ideal audience need in order to work with me and be successful? Success means, right? They have the problem, you have the solution. They want to connect with that solution. So what can I do to help them? You can use ads in a way that's not just dumping money into a given platform if you think about that experience and trying to be strategic. So I think that that's my last slide, and also we only have 5 minutes left. So I want to turn it back over to Jasper and see what questions are next.
Yeah, there's a few in the queue. It's been a great presentation, great information to have. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
We'll circle back to a question from Anna earlier. Anna is looking to find some relevancy and more strategies to drive customers to their brick and mortar business. They don't sell much online.
Okay, okay. So I would say, like, as far as your social content, you should be featuring your store pretty heavily. And you can do that in a lot of different creative ways. If you have a new display, post pictures of that, videos. Like, if you've prioritized your brick and mortar location, then that means that's where most of your effort is going. So that's what your social content should feature. You can have like customer appreciation events, or something more social, like maybe an after hours happy hour or something. But think creatively about like how to drive traffic there, because you can target people in a certain location with ads. So your ad criteria, you could target people within 30 miles of your store who have interests or activity that seems like it aligns with what you're looking for. Create some brand recognition, try to get them to follow you. And then from there, again, move them down. So I would talk a lot in an email too, like talk a lot about what's going on in your store and that they need to show up physically in order to get this. And there's stores that I love going to just to walk around because they prioritized the in-store experience. So think like, what is my goal and how do I get them to do that? I have to make my store kind of like a destination or experience where they're not just coming to make a purchase. They're coming because maybe this aligns to like their, some identity piece where like they want to be known as a person who shops at my store because I project myself online in a certain way. So you kind of have to know, like, why do people shop with you? Why do people show up? And then like prioritize that in your content.
Great feedback there. I know that it's definitely something that drives me going to stores for sure.
Mhm.
Um, and we have one from Pablo. Pablo is part of a regional based business, and 90% of their sales are done through the app, only about 10% on the actual website.
Mm.
Other than SEO insights, what other recommendations would you have for more app awareness?
Um, yeah. So, I mean, I think ads would be important. Um, so just like, when everything I've talked about, if you're ideally driving toward, a certain landing page that you've put a ton of effort into because you've tested it and you know that it converts, like do the same thing to drive people to the app. Make sure there's some exclusive benefit to downloading the app over going to the website. Make sure when they go to your website, they know why they should download the app. Not just, obviously, it's beneficial for you. If people purchase more often on the app, that's your benefit. But what did they get out of it? Do they have, more insight into, I don't know what you sell, but are there going to be reminders that they need to restock because, most customers buy every 3 months? Or, think about what do they get out of it? And then wherever you have people looking at your content, whether that's website or social or in your email, make sure you're reminding them of what they're not getting by not downloading the app. So if you know, for the people who are currently using your app, like what do you know about them? Are there some common attributes, or do you know why they, just like the store, why do people come into your store? Why do they download the app? If you know what that thing is that gets people to be, oh yeah, yeah, I gotta get the app because what is it? Then you can show up on other channels and say, hey, you should get our app because same thing, and this is why people are using the app and this is why you should. So understanding why people are taking the ideal behavior and then telling other people that they should take that behavior because of whatever reason it might be.
Yeah, and maybe putting those on the website as well if the app is much more the seller
Yeah.
than maybe that 10% of customers that does still go through the website maybe have maybe have a little more benefit for them by switching to
Yes.
the app.
Yes.
All right.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much. Laura, it's been a great presentation, very insightful
Thank you.
topics here, and I'm sure everyone has gleaned some great insight into marketing.
Awesome.
Wanted to remind everyone that SCORE is a free confidential mentoring service. And if you don't already have a SCORE mentor, you can sign up for one at score.org. It's one more time, it's free and confidential for any part of the life of your business. I want to thank Laura again for putting on a great presentation. And I want to thank our sponsor one more time, the Maine Technology Institute. And yeah, it was recorded today, so you'll be receiving this recording shortly, as well as the evaluation survey that we do really greatly appreciate when people fill out. That'll be sent out shortly. Well,
Awesome.
thanks again, everyone.
Thank you, Jasper, and thank you for attending, everyone.
Of course. Thank you again. Have a great day, everyone.